Morning, Abotai. Tiskun Shem Rabot. Today is Erev Sukkot. Today is the day that most people will tie their lulavim. It's important. I pointed this out on Shabbat. When a person ties his lulav, so the following things should be taken into consideration. Number one, first of all, when you tie the lulav, especially for Sfaradim, we do not use the koshikol, which is the holder that many Ashkenazim use. We tie the adasim va'aravot directly to the body of the lulav. That's our minhag according to the Ari Kadosh. Now, we also do not tie neither like Ashkenazim nor like Maran Shulchan Aruch. According to both, you have to put the hadasim on the right side of the spine of the lulav and the aravot on the left. We follow the tying method of the Ari Kadosh, as quoted by the Kaf Chaim. The Ari Kadosh, the way he tied his lulav is, you put the lulav down on the table with its spine facing up. You put one aravat to the right, one aravat to the left. You take one hadas, you put it on top of the right one. You take another hadas, you put it on top of the left one. You have one more hadas left. It goes along the spine of the lulav. Now, also, it's very important that the hadasim stick out. They have to be a drop taller. Even it doesn't have to be so much, but it has to be a little bit taller than the aravot. Sometimes when they're sold, the aravot are sold taller than the hadasim. So what you have to do is snip the aravot from the bottom, not from the top. Top makes it pasul. Snip the aravot a little bit from the bottom so that they are now going to be a little bit lower than the hadasim. Then what you do is you align all the bottoms of the lulav, bottoms of the hadasim, and bottoms of the aravot all together, and then you start tying. How do you tie? You take a lulav leaf and you make strands, you make threads out of a lulav leaf, and then you just start making a bunch of double knots throughout the lulav. It doesn't really matter how many you do, or how even with one you're yotzei the mitzvah of agidah, but to make it a little bit more sturdy, you can do as many as you see fit. You take it, you do one, that's one knot, and then a double knot, you snip the edges, and that's how we do it. We also do not use the rings that Ashkenazim use. According to Maran Shulchan Aruch, in order to be yotzei the mitzvah of agidat lulav, in order to be yotzei the mitzvah of tying the lulav, it has to be specifically done with a double knot, not with a ring. So that's something you shouldn't be doing on Yom Tov. You have to do it specifically today. So that is with regards to that. Also, with regards to another halacha regarding lulav, is that unlike Ashkenazim, and also Maran Shulchan Aruch happens to be, according to them, you shake the lulav. That's why they call it shaking a lulav. Right? They actually shake the leaves. Temanim sometimes do that too. Once again, we follow the Ari Kadosh, who said not to shake the leaves of the lulav. That's why Sfaradim in general look for a stiff lulav that's not shaking. It's like a stick. Why? All we do is wave the lulav. How do you wave the lulav? The directions are south, north, east, up, down, and west. All you do is molich umevi ma'ale umorid. You hold the lulav and the etrog together. You don't really move the positioning of your hands. You just move it outwards and then back inwards 3 times. Out, in 3 times. When you're facing the east, after you've done east, you do the same thing with up and down. Up, down, back down to your chest 3 times. Then holding the lulav up, when you're done with that, down towards the floor, and then back up to your chest. You do that 3 times, turn to the west, and then you're done. That's what we do. We also do not tilt the lulav. Sometimes what people do is that they're holding the lulav and they tilt it outwards towards, you don't tilt anything. The lulav is standing completely straight. The etrog is standing completely straight. The only thing that's moving is the outward and inward motion and upwards and downwards motion of your hands. Tonight, Rabotai, also is the first night of Sukkot, where there is a positive Torah commandment to find a sukkah and to eat at least a kazait of bread in that sukkah. Throughout the rest of the holiday of Sukkot, you don't have to eat in the sukkah, but if you happen to eat bread or mizonot items, then you need to eat in the sukkah. However, on the first night of Sukkot, everybody has to locate a sukkah and get bread to eat in the sukkah in order to be yotzei the mitzvah. It's the same thing tomorrow night, just midrabanan, but tonight is actually the positive Torah commandment. Now, another thing is an even greater mitzvah, I shouldn't say greater, but an even more severe, there's a more chamur mitzvah than eating in the sukkah, which is sleeping in the sukkah. Sleeping in the sukkah is more severe than eating in the sukkah. Why? How do we know that? The halacha is a seudat arai. The halacha is that if you're eating a meal of an unsettled character, you're not eating bread, or you're eating bread under a kabitzah, or you're eating mizonot under a kabetza that can be eaten outside of the sukkah. What about a sleep of an unsettled character? What about just a nap? A nap, even putting your head down on the table is asur outside of the sukkah for the 7 days of Chag HaSukkot. To the extent that the Ben Ish Chai writes in Parashat Ha'azinu, if you see your friend dozing off in shul or whatever it is, boom, knock him. He says, get up, don't fall asleep. You're not allowed to fall asleep outside of the sukkah. Some people have this misconception that there is no mitzvah of sleeping in the sukkah outside of Israel. That is shekir, that is against the Torah. That is not true. Now again, there are circumstances which exempt the person from sleeping in the sukkah, both in Israel and outside of Israel. But people think it's like mitzvot atluyot ba'aretz, like shmita. Yeah, sleeping in the sukkah only applies in Israel. That is nonsense. It's not true. Therefore, if the weather permits and everything is safe and all is good, there's a mitzvah aseh min Torah to sleep in the sukkah, just like there's a mitzvah to eat in the sukkah. People build, the mitzvah of sukkah, the Torah doesn't say, basukot tochelu shiv'at yamim. It doesn't say to eat in the sukkah for 7 days. It says, basukot teshevu shiv'at yamim. Over there, teshevu doesn't mean to sit. Over there, teshevu ke'in taduru. It means to dwell, to live in the sukkah for 7 days. Leave your house for 7 days and make your house the sukkah. You eat in your house, you eat in the sukkah. You sleep in your house, you sleep in the sukkah. You chill in your house, you chill in the sukkah. The same thing over here. So a person has to make real cheshbon nefesh to see, am I doing what's right? Yeah, and there's, that's when the excuses, the Yetzer Hara starts. My wife, my this, again, everything has to be, b'yishuv da'at. Again, there's certain things. A person's wife is also very much invited to sleep in the sukkah with her husband, even though she's p'tura. Mishnah Berurah says meforash, and Siman Tafresh Mem, 100% she is invited to live in there. So that being said, Abotai, person has to think about all these variables and not be so quick to dismiss the most important mitzvah of sukkah, which is to sleep in the sukkah, and not just focus all their energies on the mitzvah of eating in the sukkah. Have a wonderful day. Chag Sameach, and Tizkul Shem Rabot Na'imot V'Tovot.